Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking through your 2022 Crossroads Zinger 180Bh. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you're pre-mounted for an observation camera. If you'd like to get set up with that, you can contact your parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you put a quote together. Then also located at the back, you do have your spare tire. You're also going to have your city water connection, so if you're out of sight with service, you just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. It's going to pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. Then you do have a cable satellite inlet right here. And then right at the back, you're going to have a service port for your hot water heater. Really, the only two things you need to worry about is pressure relief valve. Pulling that guy, you should get a shot of water coming out of there, letting you know that the tank's full and safe to fire up. If you get no water coming out of there, chances are the tank isn't fully full yet, so it wouldn't be a good idea to fire it up. You have the 1 inch drain bolt right down there at the bottom. Close that guy up. Coming around to the driver's side of the unit, you do get access from both sides. This bumper cap, pull in the tube, pops right out of place. It's typically where you want to store your sewer hose after your first use. We do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why there's not one in there yet. Caps just press into place. Over here, you're going to have your 30-amp twist lock connection. You just take a note of this notch here. It lines up with this notch at the top on this side. Once you firmly do press that into place, 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 30-amp plug-in. Now, a lot of campsites should have this, so you can plug right on in, but let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15-amp service, which is your standard household outlet. We do include that 15-amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind whenever you are using it. You're not going to be able to run your air conditioner. It's just to run your fridge and your lights. Whenever you plug in, you get that blue light telling you have a successful power source. If the red light were to be on, it's just letting you know that your source of power is bad and it's not a problem with the trailer. In this corner, as well as all 4 corners of the unit, you got stabilizer jacks. The way these work are, hook up your 3/4 inch drive tool, run these feet down to the ground. Once the feet do contact the ground, just give it another 8/4 turn, snug it up. It's going to take any bouncers sway you see having the unit right now away. You got your main sewer outlet, taking that cap, twisting it off. You got your gray valve, your black valve. You always want to do your black valve first for your dirtiest water filled from your toilets, and then you can come behind that with your gray valve, which is typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Inside here is just going to be some storage space. It's also where you're going to get access to your water heater by removing those 3 screws on this false panel here. Going to allow that panel to move out of the way, give you access to the water, back of the water heater, those bypass valves. Coming a little further up, you get your fresh water inlet. Taking that cap, screwing it off, you can thread a garden hose in there or siphon water in there, whatever you have to do to fill up that tank, and that's what your water pump draws off. Drain for that is just right here, opening up the valve, allows the water to drain out. Also on this side, so you're going to find your standard starter kit. In there, we include 10-foot sewer hose, 15-foot water hose, as well as a 15-amp park adapter I told you about. Then you got your tool, 3/4 inch drive tool for your stabilizer jacks. Just keep in mind they are stabilizing jacks, they're not leveling jacks. Please don't try and use them as so. Otherwise, you run the risk of bending them, and the same does go for running them up or down with an impact. Just keep in mind how much torque you put on them. Coming around to the front of the unit, got your battery disconnect right at the front on the front frame here. With it, the power on, obviously the power would be on, power off would be disconnecting the power, and then turning it all the way to the left is just so that you can remove this cover safely. Propane tank right up front, pretty standard. Counterclockwise to open up the flow of propane, opens up the flow, flows into the unit, tongue jack right up front. Coming around to the passenger side of the unit, you got a leash latch here. In case you have any animals you want to hook up. A couple plug-ins outside, coax outlet, and then of course you got your furnace exhaust. Whenever your furnace is running, that'll be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. And then you got your 2 low point drains, so if you want water going stale or stagnant, or you're finishing your winterization for the year and you want to drain some of that antifreeze out, which of course is a good idea, it's where you do so. Now to get inside the unit, you're just taking those stairs, pulling them through the tube. That allows them to fold down, then you can fold that step down, open up your door, and you can take a step on inside. First thing you'll notice off on the left is that fire extinguisher, just like home, pull pin and shoot. And then additional to that, because this unit's equipped with propane, you got your LP detector right over there near the ground. If that guy ever starts going off, don't panic, just turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit, open up some windows and vents to get some fresh oxygen inside of here. Up on the wall, you got your monitor panel system, pretty standard. Pushing the tank will give you the corresponding level. Same goes for the battery. And then you got your water pump switch, which draws out of your fresh tank. And then your water heater switch, turning that on. DSI fault light's gonna come on. The water heater's gonna try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, you might just have to turn this switch off, give it about 30 seconds, and then try turning it back on. It might be a purging issue. We're gonna go over purging once we get to your stove. Then last but not least, you do have your awning switch. You're gonna have to keep a reminder to keep that door closed 90 degrees for that awning arm to travel freely. If you have the door all the way open, it's gonna come into contact with that. It could cause some damage if you're not paying attention. So whenever you're running your awning, holding that extend button, the awning is gonna start making its way out. Once it is at its full extension, you'll see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. Sometimes the flap gets stuck, so you might just have to retract it back a couple feet and try putting it back out. It should come down after that. Whenever you're running this out, you're always going to want to keep an eye on the wind speeds. Whenever they start picking up, you're going to want to make sure you do bring that in. That way, you're not going to run the risk of ripping your fabric or protecting your arms. Now, unfortunately, today, just due to space, that's all we're going to be able to put out with the awning. But you got your adjustable pitch control here, pinching on the 2 tabs. It allows these to pinch in. You'll be able to then change your pitch of your awning head, allowing water to run off if it were to start raining. And of course, if it's going to allow for more shade. So if you prefer, you can do it to both the same thing. Just keep it in mind, you do want to put them back to their natural positions. Once you go to bring it in, that way you don't run the risk of bending anything. To bring it in, it is as simple as holding that retract button on to start taking their way in. Once the contact is out of the trailer, the doors automatically cut out. If you had to roll this awning in while it was wet, it isn't the end of the world, but just try and make sure at your next earliest convenience that you roll that awning out. That way you allow it time to dry off, so you're not accelerating the growth of mold and mildew. In addition to that, you do have a little awning LED strip light outside of here, and then you got your main living space lights on this push button up here. Taking a step in, the rest of the lights are going to kind of be on the own center buttons here. You got your bed, lifting that guy up. You do have a little bit of storage space over here for any sort of blankets or anything that you want to put inside here. Got a plug in at the foot of the bed if you didn't notice. Storage all throughout, but of course whenever you're using the storage, any of the storage inside this unit, just being mindful of drains, water lines, and wiring. You're not going to be wanting to affect any of that. There is storage underneath these 2 bench seats as well. And then additional to that, if you were to have some extra guests that obviously over-occupy your bunks, you can take the feet from underneath your table legs, set your tabletop on its desired ledge, and you can take your back cushions to fill in the center, and you would have yourself another bed. All the blinds in the unit are going to work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. Storage up top. You're going to have a TV backer mounted over here. So if you want to mount a TV, this is going to be the best spot to do so. You got this little button here that's going to turn the antenna on the roof. It's also going to improve radio frequency and cell phone frequency, so we always recommend turning it on when you get to your campsite, but remembering to turn it off whenever you're not using the unit. That way you're not drawing battery power. A couple plugins in there in case you were to mount a TV. Up on the wall, you get your sound bar. It's pretty much just like home. The only set of speakers that are going to be hooked up is the A set because this unit doesn't have any exterior speakers. Kitchen area, pretty self-explanatory. Sink, hot and cold water, storage all throughout. Got your microwave. And then coming to your stove. We're going to go over a few notes about propane quickly. You always have to make sure that you're safe while using it. That's why I'm saying this. So whenever you turn your system off at the front, it does allow air into the system. Once air makes its way in, of course, it has to be purged out. Quickest, easiest way to do that is through your stove. The reason being is you choose how long the gas stays on for, so you can hold a lighter there for as long as necessary until the gas comes out. Your water heater or your furnace will only try lighting themselves a couple times, and if they don't sense a flame, it's going to throw a fault code, and if you don't know what it means, it can throw a little wrench into your weekend. So again, we are going to want to avoid that. It's just always recommended to come fire up your stove first thing. So take your barbecue lighter, get that going, turn that over to the high/light option, holding it by the burner. It's going to fire right on up. Now, whenever you do have this gas valve on, it's very important to have the lighter lit. Failure to do so, it's going to allow a buildup of gases, and if you go to hit that lighter, once the buildup of gas is there, it's going to cause a minor combustion, which could cause you to lose some eyebrows and eyelashes. Again, that's another thing we do want to avoid. So just making sure that you are safe whenever you're using this. Just always having a lighter handy and on whenever you're running that gas valve. That way, again, you're just not getting that buildup of gas. It's going to light up pretty quickly today just because I had the system running earlier. Sometimes it can take a few minutes, so you just have to be patient with it. Right down below, you get your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever one trips, it's going to sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All your corresponding fuses are going to be on your right. Got your bunk space. They're going to have their own lights as well. And then bathroom light switches on the wall there. You got this little travel strap here. This is going to be a sliding door. It's very important that you have this strapped anytime you're moving, because if not, this is going to allow it to slide around freely. It's going to probably cause some damage if you don't have it strapped in, so just be mindful of that. Got your fridge here, pushing in, pulling out. That allows you to open it up. Fridge, freezer combo. Typically, all your controls are right up top, up and down at any time to change your set temperature. This option here is going to be to control the fridge. This option is going to be to control the freezer. 5 is going to be the coldest setting, and then you do have a sleep mode, so it's going to try and not run you throughout the night. And then inside here, just your standard bathroom. You're going to notice up top here, you got a little vent lid. Turning that counterclockwise, allowing that vent lid to open up. Now, if you were to forget that open and start traveling, there is a risk that you run bending it. And if it were to start raining, of course, it's going to get wet inside of here. If you do want to avoid all those things that, of course, protect your vent lid from hail, we do sell covers here at the shop. It's a cover that goes over top of this. It's going to allow you to leave it open during travel. And of course, if it were to start raining, it's not going to get wet inside of here. And it's an extra protection against hail. If you'd like to get set up with that, just contact your parts department. They'd be more than happy to help you out. Other than that, that's going to be it for the bathroom. Now, last but not least, you got your air conditioner controls, which are right up on the roof. It moves all its air through this ceiling unit you have here. You got these these tabs that hold these grates in. You can pop those out. There's going to be that little black screen in there. It's an intake filter. It's a good idea to blow it out with some compressed air once you notice it's starting to get dusty, just to keep the flow moving good for the fan. Mode controls over here. You're going to have a temperature control knob here. Obviously, in the blue is all the way to its coldest setting. It's going to show you a red setting, but that's not really hooked up to anything. There isn't a heat pump installed on this, so you got 2 low fan settings. That's just moving air around using this air conditioner, no heating or cooling involved. High fan, same thing. Now you got low cool and high cool. That's when the air conditioning takes into effect, and it's going to turn on that compressor and start blowing out cold air. All the way to the off section to turn that off. And now you got your propane furnace. It's only got 1 fan speed. Clicking that turns that on. Fan's running. You got your temperature selection over here, all the way to the, sliding it to the right is going to be its hottest setting. Anywhere in the middle before that is a warmer setting. Clicking that off, whenever you turn your furnace off and on and then off again, it runs for an additional 3 minutes just to allow itself to cool down as an added safety feature. Now, that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.